Welcome back to the Rouges Yanks. We talk everything Canada soccer and U.S. soccer. Tonight we're going to be continuing our 100 sub special. This is part 2 of the significant U.S. and Canadian transfers to date. So part 2 of the mini part series, or maybe it's going to be part 3, I don't know. But part 1 was just uploaded, so if you haven't go check that out, please go do so. I can only cover 4 players in there, because most of the video is just a big thank you to you guys once again. And on that note, thank you guys for 100 subs. This is huge. I mean, just considering how young the channel is relative, but I covered all that in the first one, so but I just can't thank you guys enough for this. Well, I do want to cover more of the players in this video, as this is supposed to be part 2. And this is not supposed to be a mini part video, but it is what it is. So I'm trying to make it as less as possible. So in short, if you haven't seen part 1, go do so. This is part 2 of part 1, so go check that out. And the other reminder before I do so is just remind me, if I forget any major American or Canadian transfer players that have happened that either the MLS site doesn't mention or that I don't think of. And and right off the bat, I'm going to talk about 3 of the ones that are not mentioned on the list that I know for a fact that happened and are really significant, and you're going to hear about them in a second, but that's just my reminder. So if I miss any other names, Canadian, American, that have made a major transfer recently or basically since the summer, please reach out to me in the comment section and do so. As I said in the first video, if there's enough names that I missed that I can compile and make like at least a short 5-minute video about, I can do so. And yeah, that's that. And then going into now, without further ado, let's talk about, I'm going to go ahead and do the 3 players that weren't mentioned by the MLS, that way I can go ahead and get that out of my head, so I'm not skipping around and I'm not flipping back and forth between the list here and the other list that I have for MLS. So we're going to just knock all the names that weren't mentioned on the MLS that are really, really significant. So starting with Tanner Tesman. This trade happened back in the summer. I think it was in July. Tanner Tesman from, I believe, FC Dallas it is. If not, maybe it's Colorado. I think it's FC Dallas, I think. If not, it's Colorado. I'm pretty sure. Okay. Either way, from the MLS to Serie A, Venezia, and this is huge for him because Tanner Tesman, I mean, I think he was just like Matt Turner. He really didn't grow up playing the sport. I think he grew up more of a football player or a baseball player, and he started the sport really fairly recently, and he's another miracle story, just like Matt Turner. And speaking of, that's another guy on the list I'm going to talk about too. But Tanner Tesman, I mean, I know we haven't seen him play a lot. He was part of the Gold Cup roster for the USA, and I mean, he looked pretty decent. I know, like before when he was in his FC, I'm guessing it was FC Dallas, guys. Sorry if I'm wrong, if it's caught, but I'm pretty sure. But I'm guessing from his FC Dallas form, he looked okay. But I'm just really, really glad he was able to make this trade in Europe over the summer, especially. So he's been getting developed over there in Venezia and Serie A, which is Italy's top league for those who don't know. And I mean, this is huge. Once again, you're expanding the American talent pool. This is the goal, right? You're supposed to send as many players to Europe as you can. Tanner Tesman being another young player. I think he's only 18 or 19. So he's still got a long ways to go. And this is a very, very good start for him. If he keeps going, maybe he can join a bigger club, kind of like the other names I mentioned in video 1. So Tanner Tesman, great to see him at Venezia. And I hope he continue to rise and just really learn, as well as continue to develop for, should Greg Bolger call him for a domestic tournament or a friendly match. I'm really, really excited to see the potential of Tanner Tesman, and especially how wonderful his success story has been. So, Tanner Tesman at AS Venezia, and can't wait to see him play in the national team. So, next player, speaking of Venezia, Gianluca Busio for Sporting Kansas City. Also made in August. This transfer is kind of old, and everybody probably already knows about at this point. But we still need to talk about it as it's a major U.S. or Canadian transfer. Gianluca Busio, it all started for me with his free kick going back in the beginning of the MLS season against the Houston Dynamo for Sporting KC. I mean, he took it. Even the announcer like, Gianluca Busio, a touch of class. You know, even the announcer was amazed at that. Oh my God, that made me lose my voice, but I had to do it. But Gianluca Busio, I mean, what a free kick that was. That was beautiful, and look where he is now. I mean, I remember we also was part of the Gold Cup roster, but yeah, I mean, this guy is really, really exciting to watch and really exciting to develop. I've heard really, really good stuff about Gianluca Busio, especially how he could potentially be almost like a Yunus Musa, you know, where he can be that guy who always gets in and out of stuff. So maybe he can turn into that, but that's exciting to watch. You know, we just got to keep an eye on him, kind of like Tanner Tesman. Gianluca Busio, just really, really, once again, just like Tanner Tesman, glad to see him in Europe. He's getting better. He's getting development at one of the European top levels, Serie A. I know they have a couple teams, but even just playing in the Serie A with any team, whether it be big, small, good or bad, you're getting experience and you're getting European experience, which is exactly what you need, especially what the USA is trying to look for. And once again, you're going to hear me repeat this a lot for both Canada and U.S. soccer. They're expanding the talent depth. You know, that's the number one goal of this. Expand the talent depth. Gianluca Busio is really, really trying to also compete for a spot for this team. So, I mean, the talent pool for both Canada and USA is getting exciting at this point. I mean, because you got players who are just really, really competing and fighting their way in. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot more to come for both countries. And that only just makes this more exciting to watch, right? As well as even for some, potentially, just developing the U.S.-Canada rivalry. You know, forging a new rivalry in North America, right? And I would say this rivalry is back. You know, it's definitely renewed. So, and just these players are just going to continue to help develop that and just continue to help really just continue to forge the rivalry between Canada and USA. So, it's going to be exciting. But Gianluca Busio, hopefully he can keep that world of class up and just continue to get better. And hopefully it will bring something better back for the USMNT, whether it be domestic base himself or just like Tanner Tesman, potentially looking to get a bigger move in Europe. So, all eyes on Gianluca Busio, as I think we all should have. And then the last name from the list that was not mentioned in MLS, which I'm surprised it hasn't been updated yet because it happened really fairly recently. Obviously, I've said it probably in the U.S.-Canada video or even in the roster before that. Matt Turner to Arsenal, my favorite Premier League team. That's huge. That is huge, and probably one of the hugest transfers of the USMNT transfers window during this whole duration. Matt Turner, we all know, is probably right now the go-to keeper for the USMNT. You know, he's played almost every game for World Cup qualifying, except for a few with Stefan. But many people are really skeptical of this trade for Matt Turner going to Arsenal. I mean, some are really happy about it; they're head over heels. But at the same time, many people are saying we need to stop and think for a minute, because they're like, yes, it's good that he's going to Arsenal. He's going to one of the top leagues in Europe, but at the same time, he's just going to be sitting on the bench again, and therefore, you have two of your best goalkeepers sitting on the bench, not really getting playing time. I mean, that's also a significant statement to think about too. So sure, he's getting developed, but is he playing? And that's really, taking more thought into that. That does matter a lot. I mean, if they're not playing on like day to day or game to game, kind of like Stefan, they don't really turn out all that good. And right now, it looks like Ethan Horvath, which I need to see how he's doing. I think he's at Nottingham Forest, but once again, that's another keeper. I don't think he's the starting keeper for Nottingham Forest or wherever he is. I think he's just a backup or just a reserve. And I mean, it's good for the USA because you're learning and stuff, but they're not playing. So, I mean, it's kind of like, what good does it make if you're just riding the pine, right? Which in this case would be Matt Turner of Arsenal. You know, I'm pretty sure he will not start with the current Arsenal goalkeeper. I mean, it's just not. It's a given that he's not gonna do that. So therefore he's going to ride the pine and just develop with the other players. I mean, it's good, but at the same time, he's not playing. So you're talking about all three of your USMNT keepers not starters, and they're just reserves, but they're developing. It can be a double-edged sword. I mean, as they said, it's good in terms of they're all developing, but it can also be, it can also come back and bite you if they're not playing regularly and they're not really always on the pitch and always facing different scenarios and stuff in games. So, to me, this is a double-edged sword. Matt Turner, Arsenal, it's good, and it's at the same time it's kind of critical because I mean, will he play? We don't know. Probably likely not, unless the current Arsenal keeper is just does really bad. But for the most part, you can count on Matt Turner probably being a reserve. You know, not really a starting keeper. As I mean, it should be no surprise too. But either way, it's good. Apparently, it's a record transfer fee for the New England Revolution. But at the same time, New England Revolution, they're going to see how interesting if they rebuild, as I said earlier on. They already lost Tejan Buchanan. Now you're losing Matt Turner. You know, and you're in Champions League. So who are you going to call up? Who are you going to replace in time for Champions League, which, by the way, is in another 2 weeks or so. So how are you going to do that? You know, if I'm New England Revolution, so that's interesting in them. But going back to the USMNT talk and Matt Turner, interesting trade. And we just got to see what happens with Matt Turner there. There's a lot of excitement, but at the same time, there's a lot of people who are critical, and rightfully so. So, Matt Turner to Arsenal, good or bad, you guys let me know in the comments. And then now we go to Ricardo Pepe, also recently some news from FC Dallas to Augsburg in Bundesliga, and that happened on January 3rd, 2022, so earlier last month. Ricardo Pepe, in terms of the USMT, he's kind of dropped off a little bit. You know, he hasn't been that same Ricardo Pepe that we saw against Jamaica in October window for the World Cup qualifying or for the FC Dallas. However, I mean, he can make the excuse that, people can make the excuse that, you know, because he's traded to another team and he therefore has to adjust. So, I mean, this also plays a significant role. You got to think about it too. But Ricardo Pepe, I mean, he's just got to find his form back in terms of the USMT. As we go back to that Canada game, Canada, when he did come on the pitch, Canada just did a good job holding him to basically very little. And Ricardo Pepe, maybe he'll find his game back in Minnesota, which will be today actually, in their World Cup qualifier against Honduras at home. So maybe we'll see a different version of Ricardo Pepe in Minnesota tonight, or who knows. But in the meanwhile, I mean, going back to just the general trade in Augsburg, this is just, I mean, it's a brilliant transfer because he's going once again. He's going to the Bundesliga. He's going to Germany, and he's going to Europe. Top level footballing place, right? And you're expanding the talent depth for the country and the team. So, Ricardo Pepe, I mean, everybody knew at some point he was going to leave FC Dallas and head to Europe. I mean, it was just a matter of time. But at the same time, many people are also skeptical on, was this the right time? And should he have waited? Although it is off season, or some people said he should have waited until after the U.S. finished the World Cup qualifying. That way he was playing a lot, and now he's kind of do that. Even though I think he is still going to play at Augsburg, because MLS is an off season, but Europe is not. But some people are just critical, and I mean, it's something that you got to just take into your own hands. But overall, just regarding the trade in general, Ricardo Pepe is a darn good trade for the USA. Just seeing him go to Augsburg and develop. He's going to learn a lot more there, and he's only 18 or 19, and so he can only go up from here, and that's just really exciting if I'm a USMNT fan. You know, Ricardo Pepe, I know he's getting a lot of pushback now because he's kind of dropped off. He's at a very low point right now, but I mean, once he rises back up, I think he's going to be bigger and better than ever, especially with Augsburg and training with other Bundesliga and other fellow European talent. So, Ricardo Pepe to Augsburg is definitely a huge trade and transfer, not just for him, but for the USMNT in general. You're expanding the talent pool, as I've said, and I'm going to keep saying, but I mean, everybody saw it coming. Ricardo Pepe, you know, I'm happy for him, and I think he's happy too that he gets to go to Europe and he's finally getting recognized on a big stage, as he should be. So, kudos to him, and I hope he continues to keep his development. And then now, same also for FC Dallas, we go to Justin Shay. Transfer was made on January 21st, 2022. Loan to Hoffenheim, so not really a transfer, but he is on loan, and that's also, I think that that's also Bundesliga. So two Bundesliga for FC Dallas, sitting from. I mean, they once again they just continue to keep pumping out good players. Their FC Dallas Academy is just showing why they are arguably the best academy in Major League Soccer. I mean, they're sending a lot of young talent, USMNT right now based talent to Europe, and I mean this is just great for them. Loan the Hoffenheim once again Bundesliga, just like Ricardo Pepe, you're getting at the top level. Justin Shay also, like I think he's played a little bit. He's been called up into World Cup qualifying roster, but I haven't really kept a close eye on him. So maybe I mean if he is in the Minnesota one, maybe we'll see him tonight. But until then, I mean Justin Shay, he's getting developed. He's also young, like 18 or 19. It's getting exciting for the USMNT's talent future, and it's just really something you can't deny, and something that you just can't help but just get excited for. As you seem like you've got talent after talent after talent who are all young, right? They're moving away from the Michael Bradleys, the Josie Altidores, they're moving away from that era. Now we're starting to see a very young era. So kind of like my era, or people who are from 20 to even way younger than me, so like 17 and perhaps 16. So we're starting to see that. So it's just good for the USMNT. But Justin Shay, hopefully he just another guy like Greg Butcher. I really wish he plays him more, because there's a lot of buzz around Justin Shay. In group chats, just news media, press, whatever. This guy, I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of potential surrounding him. And that's just really exciting to hear about. And hopefully, maybe we can continue to hear how he continues to develop in Germany. And I mean, I'll definitely be keeping an eye on him, because how he develops can also dictate how the USMNT players pool will end up. So that would be exciting for him for sure to watch. And yeah, Justin Shay, once again, that's another product of FC Dallas Academy, and I mean, it's only up from here for him. And he's in Europe, German Bundesliga, and that's just something that you have to just give credit to, and playing once again at the top level. And so yeah, that's Justin Shay. And then finally, looks like I'll have time to end off the video on the final one, and that's Maxime Crepeau, and it's a Canadian player, Maxime Crepeau. He is traded from Vancouver to LAFC, and this is once again it's cross transfer or cross league window, but I mean, hey, it's still good. This is really a significant transfer for Canadian soccer, because I mean, LAFC sound like they're trying to rebuild, especially with they're sending out a lot of key players. So looks like they're doing a little transfer session here. But Maxime Crepeau, just like I said in part one, maybe it's going to be a stepping stone, especially how he's not really performing right now for the Canadian national because he hasn't been called up because of Milan Borjan. But hey, maybe Maxime Crepeau can get some recognition from Europe or wherever, depending on how he does for LAFC. So, but so that's something. Maxime Crepeau, I mean, I know it's just within this inter-league transfer, but definitely don't count this trade out. I mean, because just like I said with the other ones, he can use this as a stepping stone depending on the performance he had. And he had a really good performance for the Vancouver Whitecaps last season too. So I think if he builds this and adds to this season, has a good one, I think some European teams could be scouting him. It's very soon. And he could be making a trade to Europe, which would also just be really great for the Canadian national team, because I mean, if he goes to Europe and then Milan Borjan just keeps developing, hey, you might have a goalkeeper problem, just like the USMNT has. So I mean, Maxime Crepeau, I mean, hopefully, I really hope he goes to Europe very soon. I just hope he keeps developing, and hopefully this next up at LAFC will just continue to help develop him, and just maybe they'll be turned into that stepping stone he needs for Europe, and perhaps the Canadian national team could use too in terms of expanding their talent pool. So all excitement there for Maxime Crepeau. You know, even though it's interleague transfer, it could be a stepping stone to something bigger. Just like I said for Kellen Acosta and USMNT Paul Arriola. Just like I said for those two, I know those are interleague, but hey, they could amount to something bigger depending on their performance. So that's something we can only watch and find out. But don't count those interleague transfers out, because I mean they can always turn into something big, right? Look at Daryl Dike, or players like Daryl Dike. They started they started bouncing around in the league, and then now look where they're at, right? So that's something just big to always consider. Maxime Crepeau, LAFC, can't wait to see what he does this season in terms of the net, and hopefully he'll continue to, hopefully he'll contribute to LAFC's rebound too, which they desperately need after missing the playoffs, and they really haven't been back since. Um, it's been a while. It's just been a while, but maybe Maxime Crepeau can help solve that and change them around. So that's that, and that's also the video. We've reached 20 minutes. I don't want to continue going over, so that's part 2, part 2. And once again, if you haven't seen part 1, you should go back and check that out. Part 3 will be coming after this. So right now, I think we got to like 5 players or something. So yeah, at this rate, might be part 5 or whatever. But hey, I just hope it's enjoyable. You guys are still celebrating 100 subs. And once again, this is a video I've been dreading off for a long time, and because I given how long it would probably be, but I just said, hey, why don't we just make it into a sub special, mini parts, you know, just celebrating the 100 subs. And I can't thank you guys enough for that. And so here we are. And I hope you guys enjoy this as well. So if you like this video, make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends about it. And once again, tell all your friends. 100 subs. Thank you guys very much.